All right, guys, it's 7 p.m. I want to welcome you to the regularly scheduled city council meeting for Thursday, September 8th. And if you guys would all be willing to stand with me, Mr. Van Houten is going to do the invocation.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight. We just ask for your prudence, Lord, and we just come humbly before you as servants of our neighbors, and just ask for your guidance and your leadership. And Lord, we just ask to be strict with ourselves and tolerant of others. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mrs. Roth,
Here.
Mr. Peel,
Here.
Mr. Young,
Here.
Mrs. North. Here. Mr. Van Houten.
Here.
Mayor, we do have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda, and with that, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda unless there are any requested changes by staff or councilman.
I got one short question.
Sure.
Are we doing public hearing after formal action, or should we do public hearing before formal action?
So, yes, there's two different things here. I don't know if you saw that on there.
Maybe I missed something.
We have to do the formal action before we can do that public hearing.
Yes, the
Because
way
we
it's on
didn't do a roll
the
call.
That's the way it
agenda.
has to be?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
And there's one other change. On the second executive session, that's not for attorney-client privilege. That is to discuss potential real property pursuant to the acquisition of real property exception.
So we just need to change the under attorney-client
I
privilege.
just wanted to draw that part to your attention.
And what did you say it needs to say again?
Uh,
Real property acquisition.
Preliminary discussion of acquisition of real property,
All right, somebody can note that down.
one of the long ones.
Any other changes? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to the citizen participation period. If you could step up to the lectern and state your name and your address. And the first person we have on the list is Mr. Steve Boswell.
I pretty much got my questions answered.
You got your answers? Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to step up and say anything? All right, if not, we'll go ahead and close the citizen participation at this period and we'll move on to formal action. And this formal action, I'll ask Ms. Dunn to come up and introduce this. This is kind of just a procedural thing that needs to be changed a little bit.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. We have two items coming up here that are related to the revenue neutral hearings that we had at the last meeting in August. And there is a procedural issue. There was a change in the statute requiring a roll call vote on those two resolutions, and we did that as a majority vote instead. So tonight, we need to formally make a roll call vote of each resolution and approve that for them to be valid. So tonight, I'm suggesting that you approve Resolution 22R20, authorizing the city of Spring Hill to levy a property tax rate for the fire exceeding the revenue neutral rate. That'll be the first one.
Any questions on that? Once again, it's just a procedural thing, something that they just changed this year. You didn't have to.
That's right. We followed what we did last year, and there was a change in the rules.
Yep. If not, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-R-20, authorizing the city of Spring Hill, Kansas to levy a property tax rate for fire exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mrs. Roth,
Yes.
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. North, Yes. Mr. Van Houten,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Motion passes 600 by roll call.
The second motion is for the non-fire district, and we're recommending that you approve Resolution 2022 R21, authorizing the city of Spring Hill, Kansas to levy a property tax rate non-fire exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Any questions on that? It's about like the last one. If not, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-R-21, authorizing the city of Spring Hill, Kansas to levy a property tax rate non-fire exceeding the revenue neutral rate.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Mrs. Roth,
Yes?
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. North,
Yes.
Mr. Van Houten,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Motion passes by roll call 600.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not gonna sit back down. I think you'll call me right back.
Yep. All right, next we'll move on to the public hearing, and this is the 2023 budget hearing for the fire district.
That is correct. Okay, in the many milestones of the budget, we are nearing the end of the process, and tonight we're going to have the public hearing that allows citizens and interested parties to come in and give you feedback on the budget. This would be the formal budget hearing for both fire and non-fire. I won't come back up in between, there's no need. The thing I think is critical, tonight, we're gonna take their input and you can make any recommendations or give direction. If you want me to take that into account for a revision, before the formal approval of the budget on the 22nd, and so that we would have those changes made for our work session, which is planned for next Thursday. And so tonight, I think the critical piece for everyone to know is the impact that we're making on the mill levy. And I have some good news, I think, in the mill levy. You've seen this data before. I just added to it the one column that I've highlighted in yellow, which is the proposed budget, which includes the recommendations that have come through so far. And we're looking at a mill levy for fire of 35.993, which is about a half a mil or so below the target that you gave us. And then on non-fire, 22.887, again, about 60 points less than the target that you gave us.
Good job.
Thank you. I think it's a good one, for sure, and a great place to start. So with that, I will leave this up during the discussion, but you can open it, can open the public hearing when you're ready.
All right, at this point, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And we'll open to public comments. I believe on this one, we don't have anyone that has signed up to speak in the fire district, but if there is anyone here that would like to step up and speak, once again, if you could just name your name and your address. If there's not anyone, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for the fire district. And Ms. Dunn, you have the floor again with the same thing for the non-fire district.
I do not have any additional comments. Actually, I do have one. If you recommend any changes between, from tonight's comments, I will update any documents and they would be made available to the public through City Hall, through normal channels. Otherwise, you can open the hearing for the non-fire district.
Any requested changes or anything different on that? If not, go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Open it up to public comments, and we do have some people on this one. The first person is Mr. Stephen Boswell.
Sign the wrong one, I'm out.
Yeah, okay. It's 0 for 2. Okay. Next person on the list is Mr. Rodolfo Arevalo.
Rodolfo Arevalo, 19419 West 200th Street. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today. I was really glad last time we had a meeting that most of you, or a good number of you, indicated that you were looking at something that was going to be at revenue neutral or below. And I believe the mayor indicated he wanted it below. These numbers don't exactly fit that mold, since to be revenue neutral, you'd have to be at 19.196 mils. not 22,887. Interestingly enough, your budget director defined revenue neutral as being dollars, not mills, and she presents the data in mills. What it means is that you're going to be collecting approximately $600,000 more than you did the year before. So that does not make this budget revenue neutral. It does increase my contribution to the city by 20%. I don't think anybody's, I live on a fixed income, I'm a retiree, and I don't believe that a 20% increase in what I need to provide to the city is appropriate at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move on to Christina Hilbert, or Christine Hilbert.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Christine Hilbert, 19706 West 196th Street. I again agree with everything that you just heard from the previous speaker. In addition to that, I guess my understanding is you are building so much more development here in the area that you should be collecting additional taxes that you really do not need to exceed this revenue neutral item, because as he indicated, it's a 20% bump in how much property tax I'm going to be paying in the coming years, which is more than I've ever paid in any city I've lived in the state of Kansas. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to step up and say anything? You change your mind?
Hi, Steve Oswald, 504 North Jackson. From what I've understood with the mill versus the dollar amount, you know, obviously all of our taxes will be going up to support this. And I was wondering, and I was going to challenge the council to find or devise another method besides raising the mill as much and keeping it above revenue neutral like that. There are other options, and I'm challenging the council to look and find those options to do so, because one thing for sure we don't want to do is drive out those that are on a fixed income. And 20%, I did not know that was going to be 20%, and that's a big number. So I challenge, I know there's things that can be done and programs that can be had. They've done it in multiple towns with new gentrification projects that have raised up the property values, and instead of chasing those people out, they set them at a fixed property tax rate. So I challenge you guys to try to find something to help the citizens of Spring Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything?
Can I have more?
What's that?
Can I have more to say?
Sure.
It's just very quick. The other thing, the one thing that I didn't really mention very well is I live in a very new development, and the city is growing by leaps and bounds, and I would think that you could find a way to cut the mills so that you can balance out the budget based on that additional income coming in from these new homes. Because where I live, I mean, every day there's a brand new home. So if that would be taken into consideration in the growth of the city and then supporting it, I know you need more infrastructure for roads, for example. But for the other areas, I think there could be cuts. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? If not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Once again, all these items on the consent agenda are considered to staff to be kind of routine business items. And if there are no questions or comments on the consent agenda, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to announcements and reports. The one I really have is I was pretty, like we all were, I was pretty excited to see Quick Trip open up last week. I think that was an exciting thing. For big towns, it's probably not a big deal getting a Quick Trip, but for Spring Hill, it's a pretty exciting thing. My kids wanted me to wake them up early before school and take them down there, so we did that, and that was fun for all of them to go crazy in Spring Hill and buy some snacks for school that day. So that was fun. Other than that, I don't think I really have anything else. Mrs. Roth?
Similar feelings on Quick Trip. It's very exciting. I did talk to one of the Quick Trip folks that was there, and they said that that was one of the best turnouts they'd had for an opening of a store. So I think that just proves the excitement in Spring Hill. And so I haven't talked to anybody that said they weren't excited about Quick Trip. So, and then also just hope everybody had an awesome, safe Labor Day weekend celebrating. That's all.
Mr. Van Houten?
No report.
Mr. Peel?
I missed the Quick Trip opening, so I was a little bummed about that. I just made my first stop there about 15 minutes before the meeting, so I have been there. It's a cool facility, so it looks just like all their other ones, but it's cool that it's here. I wanted to give a thank you to Mrs. Dunn for meeting the challenges that we presented you in the last couple of meetings.
And exceeding it.
Yeah, and exceeding, so getting below the 36 and 23. That's really excellent work, so I'm really happy with that. And Fall Festival, a couple weekends away, so cross your fingers for good weather.
Yep. We've had both. We've had where it's been 55 degrees and
I've
raining.
experienced the good and the bad.
Mr. Young?
No report. I do have a question. Are we still doing a work session in between now and next?
Yes.
We have it scheduled, right?
Yes.
When was that?
Week from tonight,
Oh,
Week from
15th.
tonight? Okay, cool.
15th.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
and 6 p.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
Mrs. North?
No report.
Mr. Massey?
No report.
Mr. Burton? No report, sir. Chief Henson?
I'll just join in with the rest, no report.
Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you. Even though I've been the only person to go to that podium, I, of course, am not finished with comments. Yes, we do have a work session next Thursday at 6 p.m. You will get a revised, I don't think I'll have a revision unless you give me some different direction tonight from the one that I emailed out earlier. And I'm happy to run and make paper copies of that for anyone who would like it. And it would be available to the public through the normal channels. The other thing I wanted to say is any citizen, like the folks that were here tonight, and they're talking about a 20% increase in their property taxes, I'd be happy to look over that with them. I don't see it that same way, and I want to make sure we have good information out with the public, or maybe they'll teach me something I didn't know. But I'd be happy to talk over their calculations and how they're seeing that 20% increase. As we lower the mill levy, I don't believe that's coming from the city of Spring Hill. It could be from assessed value, and I want to make sure we're all on that same page. If that's helpful to a citizen, they're very welcome to contact me at City Hall.
I would just venture to guess, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, that they're talking about the assessed value from the county of their property. Madam Clerk?
No report, thank you.
Mrs. Jones?
I just want to say that 2 offers have been made and accepted for Mr. Messer's group. And hopefully they will be here in 2 weeks to help in our Creek Parks Department. That's it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Not only that, I finally got an assistant back today started, so.
I met her today.
Yes, it's been a good day. Just wanted, I'm not gonna stick with the no report, sorry. I'm gonna be the rebel.
That's all right. I was going to have some questions for you anyways.
Gonna be the rebel. Lincoln Street, just wanted to give you an update on it. We did pour half of that 110-foot section that needed repair. A new company did that, and we're tearing out the other half today and tomorrow, and it'll be poured Monday, so that section is going to be fixed. We've got, we had issues down at the wastewater plant. We're still working on that. We're hoping we've got a couple of contractors have been coming in, so we're hoping to have some numbers here pretty quick.
And you're talking on the valve, right?
The valve and the installation of the
Bar screen.
bar screen that's
The
still
screener thing.
20 weeks out or so. I did want to start giving people a heads up, and I'm working with Kristen on defining what a chip seal is, what it, because we're already getting questions of chip seal, what's that and how it's going to impact. We don't want that. So we're going to work up some definitions and why it's necessary and how it will impact and where. So we can kind of prepare people, because it is going to be an inconvenience when they're out there working. We did have some trees go in at Veterans Lake today. That was from the Burlington Northern San Francisco grant. And
Nice.
so we were planting trees out there, or yesterday, I'm losing my mind, it was yesterday. So a bunch of new trees went out there. And 199th and Webster, the signal light, I know it was a snafu this morning, but tomorrow's gonna be hopefully not exactly the same. Hopefully they won't unload in the road, they're gonna unload beside the road, but they will be working up there again and over there in front of the school. And I think Glenda, there was a fishing tournament this weekend, Veterans Lake.
It's a special event.
Special event, I mean, you probably know more details if you wanted to help out on that one. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I just wanted to throw you something at you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. No, there's a special event at Veterans Park, and it's a gentleman who supports fishing for families and kids, so I guess anybody can really show up to that, and so that will be at the Veterans Park. So they did the same thing last year, so it's a pretty neat event, it looks
We have a
like. if
time?
you- I don't have a time, but I can get it to you before the end of the meeting.
And while we're on Veterans Park, Jack, or Mr. Messer, did you have any update on the flagpole or anything?
We have a meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock with, I'm gonna be meeting out there with Vireo and Miller and a contractor to look at the flag. So we're working on that still.
Awesome.
But tomorrow I should have some more information on what they've come up with. I mean, we're gonna kind of put our heads together tomorrow.
Sounds good. Anything else? Any other questions from any of you guys for Mr. Messer or anyone? Chief.
The event is from 8 to 1 tomorrow, or on Saturday. It's the next 3 weekends, next 3 Saturdays.
Wow.
It's, yeah, next 3, the 10th, the 24th, and the 8th. It's a family fishing event. And the park's gonna remain open for the public. The attachment I have doesn't explain how to get involved, but that's the time frame.
Okay. Mr. Dunley.
I do have a report today. I was ill at the last meeting, and my partner was sick related to me, and I subsequently listened to some of the discussion concerning 199th Street, and there was a legal question posed for which I can give a report and discuss the matter and provide an answer to Mr. Massey and Chief Henson. And Mr. Massey said that during the report time, I should give a brief summary of the applicable law. It's fairly straightforward as legal issues go. It's fairly straightforward. Under the Uniform Act related to traffic rules, and specifically KSA 82002A14, the city may prohibit through truck traffic on 199th Street if it makes findings, and I can address in more detail those issues, or prepare a more detailed legal opinion if you so desire. But the city may make findings as to whether or not certain heavily traveled streets should not be used by a certain class or kind of traffic found to be incompatible with the normal and safe movement of traffic upon that roadway within the city. The city may also, under a different statute, limit the weight and weight axle ratio on the streets as well, with one proviso, of course, I'm referring to through truck traffic which is destination traffic, of course, may not be prohibited. So, you know, a moving semi could certainly pull to a residence to unload. But the city, that's policy determination.
So would this be done via an ordinance if we so chose?
Yes, and there would probably, for simplicity's sake, it would probably be two ordinances, Mayor. One regarding any determination on where you were prohibiting certain classes of vehicles, and the other within the existing Chapter 15, the city has some truck routes lined out. We would need to amend those truck routes at that time. And it's easier to do that with two ordinances than one.
Gotcha.
To make those changes. But those are, and I'm happy to answer any questions related to that issue.
I would think we wouldn't want to just do it for 199th, right? Wouldn't we want to do it for, because what if they try to reroute to 207th or 223rd?
These are policy, in all honesty, that's policy determination. That's not for me, but it's for you.
That's what I'm saying, like if we could do it as like, don't go through the city, or is it just, we have to do it by each street, or how does it work?
It's an individual determination on every roadway.
Street, yeah.
Okay.
So we got options.
Yeah.
There's some very specific, you have to make a determination and findings with regard to each roadway.
Okay.
Well, while we're on that topic, I would entertain at least exploring that and, you know, maybe having a, you know, open meeting to talk about what, to find out what's the public
to see
opinion
how
and
big
what
it
their
is.
desire is to, you know, if we want to pursue that. I would definitely be open to doing that.
I think it's good to have these resources in front of us so we can make a decision that's best for the community and everybody.
Yeah, so I think in my opinion anyways, I think we should proceed with.
Yeah, I'd like to.
With getting some information together and then getting an open meeting set up to where we can talk about it and come up with a plan.
Very well.
I think it's pretty clear that most people would like to keep the semis on the interstate. They're already federally funded. They can go faster. It may not please large businesses like the Intermodal or North Point or Mark, but that's where the semis need to be, is on the interstate. Why waste our money as taxpayers? It's already high enough. Whether it's federally funneled through Mark, we pay federal taxes. We also pay our city taxes, and the roads are already done. It's very easy. If you ever drive up by the Intermodal, you'll see that they've got a diesel truck station. They've got their own weigh station. They can weigh their trucks before they leave, and if they're overweight, they can avoid, you know, paying fees on being overweight by going back to their own company. Why should we help out large businesses and hurt the taxpayers? Because there's other things that are going on out there where large businesses are getting huge tax abatements, like the one that went on in DeSoto, the Panasonic lithium battery thing. They keep coming back for more money. So I just think we need to be careful and protect our city, and we need to protect the taxpayers' money, whether it's federal, we'll pay for it, nothing's free. And I think the quicker we get a vote to stop that, I think the faster. It's really not very much to talk about. You know, it's pretty much an
I think the main thing, at least from my opinion, is to get, because while some of us, you know, might agree and think that that's what the public opinion is, I would like to get the public in here to have them give us their opinion instead of us just saying, well, this is what we think the public thinks. If we can get a bunch of people coming in and backing that up and saying, hey, that is what I think, I think it'd do wonders to feel like we're actually doing what the people want.
And I'd start with email us, call us, whatever it is. Contact us, let us know if you can't come, just so we have a good idea that it is a large population. Like I said, I have a problem with it, but I'm only one person. I want to make sure everybody does.
Yep.
And it's not banning all semis, because like it said, and Carnap says that if it's going to a local destination,
Yeah,
of
direct.
course those semis are gonna be able to deliver in
think he-
Spring
I
Hill,
think he
like
referred to
the
it as
school
through.
district or businesses,
The through traffic.
yeah.
And that doesn't need to be, are you asking for like a completely special meeting? Or are you just talking about putting it on the next agenda?
I could do either.
Probably,
I don't, why would it, I just don't see why it would, could it not be on the next agenda?
I think we want to do it probably in October. We're pretty full on this month, but
Okay. Okay.
I think it could be on the regular agenda. I don't think it would be a bad thing to have a meeting by itself other than just having another meeting.
It
But
could be a
I'm open
discussion
I'm
topic.
open to either one.
Yeah, I think a regular meeting would probably be fine, just make
Yeah,
sure
I'm
it's
fine
on
with
the
the
day
regular
we wanna talk about it this meeting.
You can open up the public to talk about that specific issue when
Yeah.
you bring it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you
Well,
can. I don't. see
Yeah, I think
why
we can make an
wouldn't be able to.
exception and just
Yeah.
treat it like.
If they're there specifically for that topic, we can, have a citizen participation.
Yeah, kinda
spot
treat it like
for
a
that
public hearing.
topic or
Yeah.
something
Well, there's no
like
reason
that.
why they couldn't just speak at the citizen participation part,
That
much like they do in these meetings.
that could be a possibility too.
Yeah, but I think we can make a special exception and if we're adding, instead of having a special meeting, if we're putting on the regular agenda, I think we can go ahead and open it up like a public hearing.
Either way, as long
Comments.
as it's out
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and people have a chance to,
I'm good with
to
that.
speak.
Mayor, the city may elect to have, a hearing, a public hearing on a matter, even if it's not something that is required by the
Yeah,
statute.
that's what I was thinking.
And that's
too,
kind of,
public.
that's kind of where I'm going. That's,
Yep.
that's my thoughts on it. It's
So,
just treat it like a public
budget.
hearing, yeah. Okay,
I'm good with that.
sounds good. So let's maybe the first week in October or the first meeting in October,
Yeah, that's,
whatever that date is. Sounds good. All right, I think that's the end of announcements and reports.
Mayor, can I just
Yes,
add
ma'am.
a little bit more on the fishing tournament?
Sure.
It's not a tournament, but I did the rest of it. Pre-registration is required, so if anybody is interested in doing that, it is a free event. No fishing license is required. So if you want more details on how to get involved, just let me know and I can share that information with you. Cause it's up to the person having the event to advertise it. It's not a city-sponsored event.
Okay,
So yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Sounds good. All right, with that, we'll move on to executive session, and we've asked that we get a 10-minute recess before we move in, so if we just want to add 10 minutes on to the time we come back.
1, 3, and you need 20, correct?
Yes, 20 minutes plus 10, so 30 minutes,
Okay.
so approximately 10 after.
8:03,
yeah.
8:04.
I was gonna say 03, but 04.
Oh, I thought you said 10.
Now it's probably 4.
Okay.
After you read through it.
How long you want me to stall you?
I move the city council recess into executive session for 20 minutes with a 10-minute break preceding that, to receive advice of council to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception of KSA 75-4319 Bravo 2 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in city council chambers at 8:04 p.m. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: F. Charles Dunlay, City Attorney; Lane Massey, City Administrator; Patrick Burton, Community Developer Director; Rhonda Dunn, Finance Director; Tyler Ellsworth, Bond Counsel; and Tom Denaway, Financial Advisor.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0-0.
about 3 years each.
Okay.
All right, let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened into open meeting at a minute late, 8:05, 8:06.
Computer says 8:04.
804 on the computer.
8:04, let's say 8:04. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, we'll move on to executive session number 2. And with that, I believe we need about 10 minutes, so I just entertain a motion for that one.
I move the city council recess into an executive session for 10 minutes to discuss potential real property pursuant to the exception of preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75-4319 Bravo 6 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in city council chambers at 8:17. The city attorney may provide legal advice to the city council during this discussion. No formal action is anticipated. Following the session, persons to be in attendance are the following: F. Charles Dunley, city attorney; Lane Massey, city administrator; Patrick Burton, director of community development.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion All right, let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened an open meeting at 8:17 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0-0. Thank you guys and have a good night.